following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
The Nostalgia Funhouse proudly dedicates all episodes in the loving memory of Connie Chirac. Johnny, I thought Brian was supposed to be doing this with us today.
Look, I've been telling you, I don't think we need guests because of this very reason. We've been waiting for hours, it feels like.
Yeah, it's already like October, almost Halloween going on now here. Where is this guy?
I could get into a game of Overwatch 2 quicker than this.
I could learn how to spell Scooby-Doo quicker than this.
Scooby-Doo. Where's Brian? Oh, hey. Brian!
Hey, where were you?
Well, I was sitting in the theater, I was all ready to watch Let's Talk, but no politics, okay? And I was looking around, I'm like, look at all these empty seats, like, am I early, am I late? And then it dawned on me, I was at the wrong show.
You were. It's going to be a mistake there for a while. I know Apple Podcast has not put up our new logo yet, so...
Well, even though I was in the wrong theater, it still felt.
Did it?
Still felt like a nice, warm Halloween sweater.
Everybody wears Halloween sweaters. That's a thing that the whole world knows about.
Johnny does that every year. He goes around wearing a Halloween sweater, yelling "Shell yeah" to everybody.
Shell yeah, I do.
But come on, let's get in here. Let's get this done, and let's check out this great spot.
Go quietly! The Foot are about to ambush the Turtles' sewer playsets, but thanks to the Turtles' periscope, it's no surprise. Take cover! The Foot are attacking with their sewer ball. Watch out, Turtles, or you'll wind up in the recovery room. Oh no, Retro Mutagen news! The Shredder's up to his old tricks. And speaking of going up, the Turtles are taking the elevator to street level to make a call on Shredder using their private line.
Reach out and crush someone.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Figures, playset, and ooze, each sold separately from Playmates.
I don't know what to tell you. You're the one I depend on, so...
No.
Yeah, this is our second episode.
Yes.
I knew that the whole time.
This is our second one.
Yeah.
We are not talking about toys that could kill you, harm you, give you radiation poisoning.
Or give you a great time.
Yes.
If you're that vibrating Harry Potter broom.
Yes.
Good times are had by all. Anything that vibrates the mid-region, I'm all for.
Oh, makes you looking like the Punisher.
Yes.
That's what that room can do to you.
Guns out, buns out,
But today we are tearing what I consider the greatest thing of, I would say, 80s to 90s toys, even before to the playset.
Yeah.
And Johnny and I had a little thing about this with the playset is more I can't even describe it. It is the world changer around your house, I would feel.
Yeah. I think what we need to do, though, to add to this conversation, is to bring in a guest who not only has some very entertaining podcasts, and I know that because I've been on them, so at least those are entertaining. Those specific episodes. What if I was just a total dick this whole time to any guest we ever have?
When we were on a show, I did claim us. Well, it is true. We are the number one rated show on the BICPP radio network, named the Nostalgia Funhouse. So
and nobody can take that away from us. That's for sure. No. But we needed a guest who was also familiar with this topic, and just in our conversations with him, he's probably literally had, that person when you're a kid, that person who literally has all the cool, fun toys, and you're a little jealous of. Well, that's the guest we have today. We have Brian Finch.
Yes.
Hello there.
I think Brian's just
long podcast. I didn't have to do a Star Wars themed intro, did I?
No, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Brian's just become the guy on the couch in this show at this point.
I love that. I'll take that role 100 times out of 100 for sure.
Oh, sorry.
As far as entertaining podcasts, I will never claim to have an entertaining podcast with or without Johnny, without having the content that is mostly revolving around me and him being okay with admitting we're not as entertaining as we like to think we are.
I don't know what you mean.
That's honestly like how like I like if I listen to these podcasts without knowing myself, would I like myself? I don't know if I would. And
that's a great question.
And today's gonna highlight maybe my worst attribute, which I come off like a complete spoiled brat, and I hate it. I'm sorry. I swear I was very kind to people, and I invited them over to play with my toys all the time.
Even his Nimbus 2000.
That's a great question. Real quick, Andrew, if you listen to yourself, would you like yourself? This sounds like a Harry Carey thing. If you were the moon, would you eat yourself?
I remember the first time I ever did any podcast episode. I did very first episode of 2 Point. Did with Matt. Didn't even know who Matt was. And then I went back and listened to myself, and I was like, I hate you. And I've never, since then, if you have me on your podcast, I do not go back and listen to it.
I do if I think I said something really funny. So I've literally listened to everything I've ever recorded. This is the sad truth. Podcasting, or just me, quote unquote, being entertaining, is the one good quality I know I have, and that's why I stick to it. And I may come off very, very cocky, but I promise you, this is the only area in which I feel any sort of confidence.
Yeah, I 100% think I've listened to just about every episode either one of you have been on. Like, I'm not saying every episode, but it's like enough of each podcast that like I've listened to hundreds of hours of you guys talking.
You're stronger than I am.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Hey, you've listened to me more than my wife has.
I bet I've listened to you more than your wife has.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
We were just measuring on hearing, Andrew. Will be, if she heard you.
Yeah.
I don't even think. No, she doesn't even hear me. I have to like double check with her. They're like, Heather, and then she's like, what? Okay.
I mean, we're all, does she listen to your podcast, Andrew? Just out of curiosity.
No, she did one with me, and
does she not know that I'm on them now?
Yeah, she does.
She still does it.
No.
I am a lot. I get it. Yeah,
she is supportive of the podcast, but she's like, you're going to do that.
Yeah, but what she should realize though is that you're doing it with Johnny Townsend, and that should mean something.
I think your number one quality that she likes about you, Johnny, is that you can record midday.
Weekdays. It's my availability. It's nothing else.
No, it's all availability.
I have nothing else going for me except for podcasts. So whenever you guys want to do it, I am on board. This is how I get any attention, and I need, I yearn attention. All of it, yeah. I earn and yearn it for sure.
But speaking of the playset, now.
Greatest transition I've ever heard.
Yeah. I used to do them better. But
speaking of screeching tires,
which would happen on the Hot Wheels, and you put the Hot Wheels in the Hot Wheel City. There's our playset. We've connected all the dots.
There you go. So now, not being as cool as Brian and spoiled, the playset only came around maybe Christmas time, because it was one of those trips where we all remember going into Toys R Us. If you had a local Chow World, or my mom was a big component of Hills, so going down the toy aisle at Hills.
Sears for some reason had toys.
Yes,
in my area. Yeah.
Well, in Western New York, where we came from, and Andrew and I, it's Hills is where the toys are.
Yes.
Oh,
I listen to those every year at Christmas time. I listen to those commercials, and it just tugs on the old heartstrings when they got the makeshift little elf. And she's like, check out the real Ghostbuster toys, the extra. And she talks in rhymes, kind of like, and I never realized it just talks in rhymes and everything. It's just,
so does Kazam. That's why Kazam's great. Yeah, I get it.
But going through the toy aisle, you had your action figures, you had your vehicles, and then you had the play sets.
See, here's the thing, Brian. Andrew and I, because I don't think you were privy to this conversation,
Yes.
Andrew and I had a conversation. It was really short because I just ultimately was like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But in my brain, when you say playset, that's anything other than an action figure that your action figure can interact with in my brain. So like my original list, I did have the party van because the Turtles figures interacted with it in some way.
There's something about play and set being put together that never says vehicle, because like the word vehicle, but like the word vehicle already exists like in our vocabulary. And so like we know what a vehicle is. So even when talking about a toy that's a vehicle, you know what a vehicle is. But when we shrunk down these movie images and made them into toys, we created a new thing, and I think that's why playset for me just feels right. Like you're talking about something that these things walk on and climb on and swing on and trap doors and all, you know what I mean, all that stuff. But
I don't know.
I do like the idea. I do like the idea of including certain vehicles, maybe like bringing up the Turtles one is a good one.
I think
also technically, and I'm just kind of giving away a little spoiler here. Technodrome was one of the ones I put on there, and that's technically a playset and a vehicle if we want to get all technical about
I think that's what it goes.
You're right.
It goes into that G.I. Joe category, though. Like,
yes,
G.I. Joe had the flag.
Yeah.
I don't think the flag moved. That is like the holy grail of toys. That thing was as tall as Yao Ming. If you line it up end to end, it was a battleship. It could be definitely like a vehicle. The Defiant, which was the giant rocket ship, but it was so big that it kind of went into the playset price point over the vehicle price point. Like it was its own world within that rocket ship. Like there was a crank to get it all. That sounds horrible, to get it all up.
Yeah.
I always crank mine to get it up.
I don't have to. I mean, I'm a single guy. It just happens naturally for me.
But
those were without pants on.
Those were the things. Technodrome, 100% playset, because when they go inside of it, there's more things to interact with than the party wagon. That's what's going on in my mind. Like you can move it. Like I got one on here that you could be like, well, that's a vehicle, but this thing you didn't want to push it. But it was huge, and it went into more of a playset price point than a vehicle. Like a vehicle is something like when I was getting into, you had your action figures, your vehicles, your playset. For me and you, Johnny, going into the toy store, if we were lucky enough, we would probably get an action figure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Brian would just get the shopping cart and load it up. But if it was really something crazy,
I love how we're putting Brian down for the fact that his parents really loved him.
But if it was really something crazy, or on a weird day, on an off day, you might get the vehicle.
Yeah, like I felt like the vehicles were like a birthday present.
Yes, and then
that's when I got the turtle van, was for my birthday. Yeah,
that's when I got my Ecto one, was for my birthday. But a play set was that big box.
Yeah,
Christmas time when you're like, what is that? I want to open that. We got to stop with this sexual. I was about to go. I want to get at that.
A lot of innuendos.
Yes.
I just want my hands on that box.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, I was going to say that sounds better, but that did it. But that was like the play set.
What's in the box?
What's in the play set for me, in a way.
Yeah.
Because it was just that huge overgrown thing that was there, and your dad or somebody was gonna put it together, and they were gonna get pissed off. You're like, I just want to play with it, and they're like, my dad was like very like a stickler for decals.
So yes. Oh God. Don't get me started on stickers for these things. I never put them on correctly. They were always a little off. It always made me mad, especially Lego ones. Lego ones are the worst. But
my Castle Grayskull behind me is horrible.
But let's talk about it. We're going to be tiering play sets. Yep. Each of us came up with 5 play sets that we're going to tier. I don't remember if I don't think there's any Lego sets on here, is there?
No.
Yeah, because for me, so I'm just getting it out of the way just in case somebody's like, well, what about Lego sets? Because I do have quite a few Lego sets that I would consider play sets, but I didn't get those until I was an adult, so I didn't put those in my list.
Yeah. I know you put I think the smallest thing that you can consider a play set that's almost borderline action figure as well as like the Mighty Max, but those I consider actual miniature play sets.
Yeah, I mean that's what they are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. But other than that, I think the play set is just some ginormous thing. But every one of mine, I wanted to put on the flag. I didn't because I don't. All my memories of that is just horrible of me just wanting it. So
Yeah. You got somebody looking behind
Brian
you.
probably had it like, oh yeah, I had like 10 of them in my backyard. We used to sink them for the fun of it. I just picture Brian, like ever see Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
Yeah.
What's his name?
What's his name? Damn it.
Oh,
I'm very distracted by what's going on behind Andrew.
what do you what do you mean? Oh, my son.
Which one is it, Jacoby?
It's Jacoby.
My son.
It's Jacoby. Now I gotta look this up. He sees me recording and he's the Johnny of the family. He needs the attention.
Do you
I
think
get it.
he can see us and knows like he can be seen? That would almost be more reason to do it, right?
Yeah.
How big is your monitor, Andrew? Is it ginormous?
No.
Oh.
My second monitor is like 24. This one I think is only about 13, 14.
Somebody's bragging over there. You got 2 monitors?
I got the other one for free.
I have 2 monitors.
Yeah, well, I assumed you did, Brian. I was asking a question.
But Francis,
technically, I could have 2 other monitors. The other one's being used as another TV up in the living room so I can watch multiple sports games at the same time because my wife is awesome.
That is pretty sweet, I will say. Yeah.
She was like, go ahead and put that up. I don't care. But anyways, we're talking about play sets, right?
Yeah. So Brian reminds me of Francis. Like, even though we're making fun of him, like he's in the giant swimming pool bathtub, like playing with like just breaking stuff. As we make fun of Brian for
I love that scene
for
so
the
much,
way
I
that
don't even care. I love the comparison. I'm him. I am Francis. I suck. But as long as I have a pool where I can be like Godzilla smashing toy battleships.
There you go. I mean, we'd all be so lucky to have something that somebody else is jealous of, I think.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single reason for anyone to be jealous of me. Except for I do have great hair. That's probably about it.
You're on
I cannot you have way more artistic ability than I do.
Well, that's slowly going away the older I get, so don't you worry.
And you got Retro Bliss.
Well, that's half Trevor's though. And yeah, so that's most people watch that for Trevor or listen to that for Trevor, I think. So there's nothing that's just me, kind of think of it. Because I did do a podcast where it was just me, and that is one that I never listened to.
I listened to that Johnny's Horror Movie Reviews.
Yeah.
I listened to that because they were great to listen to because they were like 13 minutes long. So
but they were all just made up on the spot, and you can definitely tell it. But, but I'm ready to do this, guys. I'm very excited to
Are you ready?
Let's talk about our tiers. What tiers do we have?
Oh yes, our tiers. So our very first tier is where can I buy that now?
Yeah. So that's your number one Uno, like it's the ultimate play set.
Yep. Your middle tier, because we're only going with 3 tiers today. Our middle tier is it's better than socks.
Yeah.
And the bottom tier is
let's also say it's better than socks. This is as if you're a kid. Because we all agree as an adult getting socks isn't that bad.
No. And the bottom one is probably the most adult answer that we could probably give to these is I don't get it.
Yes. Which is literally any TikTok I ever watch.
That's how I feel about things.
The closer I get to 40, and it's just right around the corner for me, the more TikTok and social media makes less sense.
I just made fun of like every YouTube video my oldest son watches. They're both on watch where it's like eat a fried chicken sandwich for 24 hours, no problem. And I'm like,
but were they able to do it?
I don't know. I just exaggerated. That's all it is.
See, but you already hooked me. I gotta know. Can these people eat that sandwich for 24 hours?
I know we couldn't do that. We would die.
Yeah.
Yes. My body would yell at me if I even attempted that.
It's just the dumbest things in the world. But let's get to
here we go.
You guys see that there?
Yes. Oh man, look how professional that looks, Brian. Look at that.
I love it.
I had nothing to do with it. And that's why it looks so good.
Johnny has everything to do with everything because of his artistic ability. I'm like, damn, this stuff has to look good.
It looks fantastic. I love it.
But Johnny is also one of those people I feel too. It's like I didn't have to do it, so it's gonna look wonderful.
That's also true. Yes. If you know anything about me, is that my lazy factor is on a scale of 1 to 10, 45.
So here we go. Very first one. Just like I said, going through, Brian threw in 5, Johnny threw in 5, and I threw in 5. So we're just gonna go right there. 15 different play sets. We all own these as kids. So here's our first one. I believe this was Brian's nomination, the Command Compound for Jurassic Park. I included boxes because I figured I'll go through kind of each slide in a way, because I feel box art as a kid, even now as an adult, I appreciate it now more as an adult, but as a kid, that kind of like drew you to it.
Oh yeah. I mean, just look at this box art here, for example. Like I would want this, but I would also want to like have the ground and the flora behind it because it all looks so freaking cool.
But do we get that? I don't know. So Brian, you want to tell us a little bit about this playset and what it meant to you and everything else?
Yeah, technically, I did not own this one. This is the first one, but here's the story behind it.
Okay.
So, my cousin grew up next door to me, and we are like almost the exact same age. He's just like 11 months younger or whatever, right? And he owned it, but dude, like I own Jurassic Park stuff. He owned Jurassic Park stuff. So anytime we played Jurassic Park together. Like obviously if I wasn't there, he may have been playing it, but it was such a thing between me and him growing up that it felt like mine. Like I have dozens and dozens of hours, of just playing just with that compound. And it's awesome. My favorite thing about it is that it really did tie in the rest of the dinosaurs. Like owning the dinosaurs was fun and you could pretend to like eat one guy, whatever. But like when you have the compound, you're like in the movie and you can recreate some stuff from the movie. And that's cool.
Yeah, I definitely had that Velociraptor though. Like I definitely had that one. I think if you pushed it on his head, he would bite or something like that.
When you squeeze when you squeeze his legs together,
that's it. Yes,
mouth would open wide, and he would, if you have the batteries in them, the watch batteries, he would scream. You would get the to scream.
Yeah, so cool.
It was awesome. So this year too, when this came out, I remember showing up it was either 3rd grade or 4th grade. It was around that age that I showed up at one point for show and tell early in the year, right? And like a bunch of kids went before me with Power Rangers and like. Power Rangers. I got a dinosaur. I got Jurassic Park. Like my grandpa took me to see this movie in the theaters. He maybe should not have.
No, it's fine.
Don't go by Andrew.
No, it's fine. My grandmother sent my brother and I to go see this movie in the movie theaters
by themselves.
Yeah, we had to save a quarter, Johnny. We had to save a quarter to call her to let her know when the movie was done.
My aunt took me to this movie, and it was to this day is one of my favorite all-time movies. So.
It's my favorite in theater experience, especially as a kid.
Yeah,
because it was still so early on in its release that like the hype was there, and so like people have seen it for the first or second time, and just like are ginormous fans all at the same time, which is awesome.
And look, over 100 phrases is pretty daggum impressive, honestly. Because most of your stuff that does with toys that would say phrases, it's like 3 or 4 tops. So having 100 is incredible to me. I definitely remember seeing this in the Toys R Us and wishing I had it for sure. It just looks so cool.
Yeah, I didn't own one Jurassic Park toy. There was one
Power Ranger kid. I get you.
By the time this came out, was this 92, 93?
Jurassic Park was a 93 movie.
93 was, at this point, I was just finishing up with G.I. Joes, and it was all about Marvel Toy Biz.
Oh, okay.
That was like my whole thing. I mean, I was playing with Marvel Toy Biz toys like up until, I'm not even gonna lie, like 16 years old. I was rocking the Marvel Toy Biz.
Yeah, but to this day, I argue that the Velociraptor is one of the coolest villains in any movie.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
They open up doors.
If I had to tier this,
You do actually.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. There you go.
If I had to do the thing,
I
I'm
did
saying
not
for
hit
this
one of my.
episode-
I did not hit one of the right over 100 phrases there. For me, tearing this, I think it's better than socks because I like Jurassic Park. I love Jurassic Park the movie. Actually, I'm probably one of the few people that I hate Jurassic Park 2, hate Jurassic Park 3. I think they should have just ended it at Jurassic Park. And,
No, I've heard that from other people. The first one is by far the best one.
And with this one, I gotta, to me, it's just because I wasn't a big Jurassic Park collector. That's why I gotta say it's better than Sock.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and I say whoever's pick it is goes last on all these. So I'll go next. This is a top tier pick for me. I want this now. I would love to have this now just displayed somewhere in my house. This just looks so cool. Just get this, get some of the dinosaurs, and just make a really sweet little Jurassic Park scene out of it. Sign me up for this.
So you're saying take my money?
Yeah, just take my money.
I'm actually with Andrew on this one, and it's weird that it's my choice, but it's a tier 2. But the reason is because I played with it. Like I know how fun it was, but it's not as fun as some of the other tiers that we're gonna get into. And for that reason, it's way better than socks. It's like infinitely better than socks. But still, I didn't ask for it as a kid.
All right.
And apparently I'm the kid that got everything.
Okay, Francis.
I won't say everything, but definitely way more than I did.
Yeah. I got a lot of stuff, but I can't. I had divorced parents, so
you got 2 of everything.
We could have had 2 Super Nintendos, but we told my dad we didn't want a Super Nintendo, that we wanted a Sega Genesis.
Well, that's just smart.
So that Christmas, my grandmother got us a Super Nintendo, and my dad got us a Sega Genesis.
Awesome.
So, oh man, that sounds amazing to me.
That's how
I got a Sega. I was a Sega Genesis kid.
That's how we.
But my parents still love each other, so maybe that's why.
There you go. So here we go.
By the way, that's a joke. I felt really bad the second.
No, you're fine. I knew my parents. My parents hated each other until I wouldn't say hated each other. Disliked each other until the day that they died. I got that much. I could tell you that just by sitting in a room with them.
Man.
Oh, I messed up. Next one, the Technodrome.
Oh man, just look at that. Just look at that picture there.
This is amazing box art. When I was looking at pictures, there's a couple where I'm like, we need box art like this again.
Yes, this box art on its own is A tier for me. It's like it's just top tier.
I'm pretty sure you could just buy the box. What is it? Transformers Fortress Maximus. Just to buy the box is $300 to $500.
God. But this thing has 3 mutant play areas, spring-loaded brain scrambler, turtle smashing I Spy radar, turtle mutation chamber, and there's tons more turtle tenderizing traps. I always loved any of the box art, even on the action figures of the turtles, because they were always very turtle heavy. But yeah, when I was a kid, I had this. My dad's boss at the place he used to work at, he would always take me with him to go when he would go over to his house, like once a month or something like that. And that kid I became pals with, and he had literally every Ninja Turtle thing, like every figure, every playset, every vehicle. And so I myself, like Brian, I actually never owned this, but I got to play with it a lot because he would always bring it out, and we would play with our turtles. But I stand by it. We would play with our turtles, and had a grand old time. Man, just look how fun that is. Just look at all the cool stuff you can do there.
I love this thing. I wanted this as a kid.
Yeah. As a giant turtle nerd, this thing was something I always wanted, but I was very happy that I at least got to play with it.
Yeah. This was one of the ones that it just seemed like I never got any bad guy, but this was the ultimate bad guy play except for TMNT or like any of the vehicles, because I wanted the little
the drill thing.
Yeah, that went under. I never got that, but this is definitely one that I wanted. Tiering this Technodrome. Where can I get it now?
Yeah, I want this now. This is Brian, what do you think?
I'm with Andrew again on this one. This is another toy that my cousin had, so I played with it like all the time. So, shut up and take my money for sure for this one.
Yeah, must have for me as well.
I think the turtles, I just realized, were like the last great toy line to come out in the 80s.
Yeah, 80s, early 90s, around in there. Yeah.
And oh man.
I mean, that was the era of cartoons selling their action figures. So.
It angers me because now we have people called influencers, and that is the whole reason why we got rid of cartoons selling action figures, because it was influencing kids. But now you can have a job called an influencer.
Yeah.
And so bring back Saturday morning cartoons, damn it.
Yeah, but we're putting this on YouTube, right?
Yeah. I know. But I just want Saturday morning cartoons to come back.
Yeah. We also say that, but if you want us to be influencers, we're more than happy to be so.
Yeah.
Go buy this.
I do have a video called "Is It Worth It?" for a multi-cart Nintendo thing. But I think I just want the whole Saturday morning cartoon thing back. I think our generation would benefit from it.
Before we move on to the next slide, which I can't wait for, did this come with any characters? Did you get any action figures with this?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I don't think so.
Man, I always remember like getting more hyped about the play sets that you could see in the window, like who you're getting with them.
Yeah,
that was a lot of GI Joes.
So if you're telling me I'm getting Krang with this, like now I'm in another tier. I'm in like a Hall of Fame toy tier because I'm getting Krang like with this too.
We should do that, Johnny. We should have our own toy Hall of Fame.
Oh man, we should.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, we can make our own Hall of Fame. We can do what we want.
Yeah.
And if you make any money off of it, you owe me 0.0001%.
All right. Well, so far out of the money we make now, you're getting a whole penny. So I hope you enjoy it.
I don't even think he's getting that. I don't even think he's getting that.
Well, it's the thought that counts, right? It's Christmas time.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has had this next one, but I have a funny story about it.
All right. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Kenner Powers, Hall of Justice. And we had this as kids, my brother and I. My brother got sick and he puked on it, and my mom put it in the bathtub to wash it off. And then I was really upset because when she washed it off, it got rid of all the decals.
Oh man.
So this is like a very soft spot in my heart.
Yes, I get it. Yeah.
For this one. This is Kenner. Kenner, as I'm realizing as an adult now, and I know who's actually making these toys, probably the greatest toy company of the late 70s into just about up to, I would say, throughout the whole entire 80s, late 70s, throughout the whole entire 80s, pretty much. Just great toy company. And this is funny too, because a lot of people are like, hey, this is DC. And I also came to the realization DC owned the 80s. Where Marvel is everything now, DC was the best. But this is the Superpowers Hall of Justice. And it did not come with this table, but you do have, and it didn't come with the Wonder Woman plane, but what you did have is you had the nice landing pad right there. Behind, as you see, Batman, Robin, and Green Arrow. Did not come with any figures, Brian. That is a jail. This red thing on top, that was an elevator, so you could get to the landing pad. You had computers and everything else. And this is definitely one of the first play sets I ever remember having. My dad
lets you know when there's trouble.
Yes, my dad was a huge comic book nerd, so anything comic book wise was like right there. We had that. I'm not gonna lie on that one. But it was just an awesome play set for everything that it was in. It was three different phases, everything else. It's Superpowers, one of the greatest toy lines ever in my mind. It was just a lot of fun to play with.
It looks cool. Definitely looks old school as well.
Yeah,
I'm just basing that on a lot of how the figures look. That's old school DC stuff going on there.
Yeah,
Batman's in the blue and gray. Robin's shorts are like 70s and 80s basketball short. Yeah. I think this is pretty cool, but this is probably going to go in the better than socks territory for me. It's one of those where like it'd be really cool to get, but I'm not going to be asking for it. Does that make any sense?
That makes 100. That's kind of the same way I feel about the Compound Command Center. So.
Yeah, but it still looks. It looks cool. As a Batman nerd, this would be really cool to add to any collection, I would think. But yeah,
what's the third tier?
I don't get it.
Do you get it, Brian?
This might be my first tier 3, and
wow.
Well, I was so adverse to DC and didn't read anything DC, and I knew that the gray and blue Batman was the older Batman, so I didn't like seeing him in those colors, and I didn't like anything to do with Robin. I remember that early as a kid too. Everything.
Oh, you're one of those that voted for him to die.
Which Robin though? There's been so many Robins though.
Yeah, if you say Dick Grayson Robin, we're going to fight.
We will fight to.
Yeah, I'll fight. I'll fight
you too. You're awful. You'll never come on the show again.
Yeah, Dick's the greatest Robin of them all.
I'll go down dying on this hill that I don't need a Robin ever for Batman. What's the point?
The point is he becomes Nightwing, and he's one of the best comic book characters there is.
Right there.
And I'm sure he aged Batman by an extra 10 years. Come on, look what our kids are doing to us, Andrew. You know it's true.
Yeah, I know.
Raising a teenager must have been hell for Batman.
It is hell.
I don't. Well,
it's hell. I never wanted to hug something and punch something so much in my whole entire life until I started raising a teenage daughter.
I would say, but I don't even want to use the 3 because it's a good play set. And if you like DC, this is a good play set.
But
there's a lot to do.
It's you, man. It's you.
Yeah. If you want to put it in that third one, you put it in that
this came out probably, oh my goodness, very, I would say early 80s to almost, I don't think the earliest this probably even came out was maybe 85. I just remember in the 80s, DC being everything. Like there was Marvel, Marvel Secret Wars by Mattel, garbage compared to Superpowers, garbage. So, I mean, if you don't get it, you're not hurting people's feelings.
I don't get it.
There you go. Yeah.
I hurt Johnny's feelings with Doug. So,
yeah, and Mac and me.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people have hurt your feelings on Mac and me.
Well, that's another hill I'll die on, is how great Mac and me is.
I think you're the only one.
That's a sequel we all need.
No.
You know, I will go against you and fight the polar opposite end of the spectrum and say I think that E.T. is a trash movie.
That's because he's a mid 80s kid.
It's got to be. Yeah.
When were you born?
84.
Well, I was born in 83 and I love E.T.
Yeah, how do you not? You're like the worst person ever, Brian.
Dude, that's the reason why I even tried Reese's Pieces, which is my favorite candy.
But I love Mac and Me. I don't know it's weird.
Oh, if you love Mac and Me, I forgive you.
Oh, Mac and Me's horrible.
Andrew Stencil Mac and Me is the only reason me and him are not like we're really close to best friends, but his decision on Mac and Me, it just tears me up inside.
There's no point in that movie.
How can somebody I care about hate Mac and Me? It just is terrible.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
So bad that it's good.
Well, you people don't think RoboCop is a kid's movie, so
who you calling you people?
Brian, we're doing kids movies. I'm like, I don't know for Crafty Trevor. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think you want me to go through. Predator, podcast. Rocky. All right. Next one is one of Brian's, Mighty Max, Trapped in Skull Mountain. I was not a Mighty Max kid at all. Probably because my mom knew that we were going to lose the pieces. So she was like, not happening at all. But this is great box art too.
Yeah, this box art is amazing. And this was also a cartoon I would watch. I watched this cartoon and I had a couple of the smaller sets. I never was able to get this one, but I'm a big fan of Mighty Max. Even played the terrible video game.
Oh, I remember we got so many. Did we need this?
Yeah. Yeah. But this box art is also A+.
Oh, look how cool it is. It's gorgeous. And the cool thing about Mighty Max is you would get a little comic book strip with each time you got a new toy.
Do you know who started that?
That one bubblegum company? Bazooka Joe.
Bazooka Joe?
He-Man?
No, Bazooka Joe did it well before He-Man.
With their mini comics?
Yeah, let's open this thing up. I love this.
This is like the best picture I could get to without getting a computer virus.
Did it come with all those figures, Brian?
Yeah, did it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're built. These are the things that are normally like built into the play set. Like there's places for them.
Yeah.
Like the crab, like there's a reverse image print on the playset for that to snap into. Same with the dragon and all that stuff. Fun story about this is a Christmas present. I remember getting it at Christmas because I'll never forget this. 4 kids plus 2 adults, lots of wrapping paper, lots of mess. I opened this, freaked out because I was already like a big Mighty Max collector.
Mhm.
Got this, loved it, started playing with it almost immediately, right? Like probably while other presents are still being opened. The bad guy is this little wizard dude who you can see on this like silver like parapet or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
I lost him, and my parents and my sibling, everybody, we're gonna finish unwrapping presents and then we'll look for it or whatever, and we found it in the garbage. It was a real up and down adventure there of emotions of me.
Was it a Mighty Max adventure?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, look how cool that looks.
Yeah,
but it does look really sweet.
You guys keep talking. I'll be right back. Hold on.
All right. Yeah, I do like this for the whole Mighty Max thing. Let's look inside.
Oh, I love that transition.
I like the inside. I like this dragon, this orange double-headed dragon thing.
That dragon is really sweet. And you're also obviously they were really going for that He-Man vibe, right? With the Castle Grayskull, you can definitely tell that. Which is, if you're going to try to imitate something, obviously go for the best.
He-Man, yes.
Oh, look at that! He's got it. Brian has it.
Okay,
that's cool.
Why did you say something? I could have just had Brian take pictures.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I thought the idea of looking at the box art would be cool because I don't. No,
we're looking in the inside right now.
Yeah, it's all pretty much. I mean, none of the figures are in it right now. There's actually some cobwebs, which I find is hysterical right now.
It kind of fits, really.
Yeah. Completely covered in dust. But my parents are getting older, so they don't want our crud. So over the last 2 years or whatever, I've been slowly getting all these toys back. Some of them are up here above me.
Yeah.
The only DC character you may find is Swamp Thing.
Now, do you let your kids touch these, or you're like, don't touch them?
They play with them. They play with them, but they have Polly Pockets and they're girls, so
we found out those got recalled.
They lean Polly Pockets. Well, for choking hazard, probably, right?
Magnets. We're getting.
Oh yeah,
We're eating the magnet. We learned that anything with magnets would normally get recalled.
Yeah, if you look at any list of recalled toys, half of them at least half of them will have magnets involved for some reason.
There was, what was it? The magnet toys I was reading. Kids were swallowing these connective balls, and then all of a sudden they would just form together, in their stomach or their esophagus, and
it's like a Voltron forming inside you.
Yes, and just close up your nice airway there. But
all right, well, where are we putting this thing though? This is the question.
Where are we putting this?
For me, this is going to be better than socks. I would be very happy to have this, but this was not one I really sought out, and I think that's because we haven't got there yet, but the Ninja Turtles saw how popular this was and kind of copied it, and those became my absolute favorite mini things. So that's probably the only reason I'm going to knock us down a peg, and I'm going to go, this is definitely better than socks though.
I like this. I like the idea of Mighty Max, but it was one of those things that I just never owned, or if you're like, hey, Mighty Max or G.I. Joe or Mighty Max or this, I'm going with the other thing. But this is cool, and I'm going to put it better than sock.
And I had to have it, and I got it, which is cool.
Yeah.
I
can't remember, Brian. Did Mighty Max himself have powers? I can't remember.
No, not really.
Wasn't he just a kid?
He was, and he got transported through there's cartoons of this, so people can watch on YouTube, I'm sure. But yeah,
Johnny
just transported around.
Don't bother with more questions.
Kid Quantum Leap. He was in a horror version of Kid Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
Where do you tier this one, Brian?
Yeah, I gotta have it. I have to. It was so fun to play with.
And you do have it.
And I do have it. And I think most of the stuff that came with it. Not right now. Not when I showed you guys. If I would have opened it up and showed you, none of that crap is in there right now. And I don't know where it is.
Probably the trash.
Yeah.
Maybe. or with the rest of the Mighty Max stuff because I have all my Mighty Maxes.
Oh man. Man.
This was a Johnny.
Oh man.
If you guys haven't gotten the pattern, it goes Brian, Johnny, then me for
All right. So as a kid, obviously I liked Hot Wheels, but then I discovered Micro Machines, and I don't know why smaller versions of Hot Wheels appealed to me, but it most certainly did. Maybe it was the commercials with a really fast talking guy, talk like this, and he really talked really fast, Micro Machines, where are they going to take you? And like I just remember the commercials, and I had to have these play sets. And the best thing about the highways and byways is like you could combine all these play sets together and make one big city. And just drive around your little Micro Machine like this. Look at this. Look how cool this is.
Whoa, what a great slide.
You missed the one before it, Brian. The one before it was also great when you were grabbing the Mighty Max toy.
Ah, damn it.
But look how cool this is, man. Yeah, I got lost in this because I was also a kid before I got these. I would get big pieces of poster board and draw roads and buildings on it for my cars to go around on. So when I was actually able to get real, quote unquote, real buildings and stuff and roads for my cars, I was very excited.
Dude, you just shook loose a memory I didn't even know I had. Is that a car wash? I think I see.
Yes.
We own the car wash. I know. Yes. My brother was huge into Micro Machines. I had Micro Machines, and dude, I forgot all about these.
I had the car wash, and I had the one there on the top right that we can see. It's like a mountain type thing.
Yeah,
I had that one too. And I think I had a third one. I can't remember which one it was. One of the gas stations, I think.
Yeah, definitely. These are
but I want one of these now. all these now.
This is almost the equivalent of the rug, the car rug.
Yeah.
The city car rug, but this is like the 3D, like awesome version. Like,
yep.
I have a car rug. Yeah, well, I have all the Micro Machines, highways and byways. And I'm glad that you brought this up because one of the Facebook groups that I'm a part of, it's retro and just, regular pop culture. They're actually starting a tournament and everybody was picking the good ones. And I was like, you know what? Nobody picked Micro Machines. I got to throw in some Johnny Townsend in there and pick Micro Machines because this is cool.
I had a big memory too of the one kind of in the center there, the bridge one. I wanted that one so bad and I never got it. That's the one that I always really wanted. So I thought it'd be really cool to have a bridge for my little Micro Machine city.
And I think we had the junkyard one too, because I remember like you were able to like put a car inside of like the crusher.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah,
that's really sweet.
Yep.
Man, this is great.
I owned a couple of Micro Machines, but this, I don't know. The adult in me is like, this is speaking to the adult in me because it looks like everything just folds up so nicely and goes together so nicely. I would want this now. I'm not gonna lie.
I want it now. I think I do. Yeah. I think I would like put up like just a table to be able to put these on like permanently so they don't ever move. Like you would like a train set. But if hearing these as a kid, I don't know if I needed them, but
adult,
I love playing with them.
It's kid, adult, it's everything, man.
I'm gonna go tier 2 on this one. It's way better than Sock.
This for me is obviously the A+++ tier. Trevor has down in his basement, he's got a really sweet Lego city that's got like all the different Lego sets he's put together to make a big city out of it. And it looks really cool and I'm incredibly jealous of it. But this would be an equivalent for me if I was able to have all these, like Brian was saying, and put them as a city, put them like up on a table and have like a quote unquote little city scene going on or something like that. That's just really screaming to me. So this is, I want this now. So remember, listeners, go to our Patreon and give us some money so I can buy these for myself.
It just looks nice. Like even as an adult and even as a kid, this is good playtime. Like this is something.
Yeah, I'm acting like I wouldn't play with it now when I 100% would.
Oh, why wouldn't you want to?
You got to drive the little cars around, man. You got to take them to the car wash. You got to go across that bridge. You got to get gas.
I know it makes so much sense now as like an adult because you're like, oh, now I can run errands and it's so easy.
Johnny, do you have these still?
No, I wish I did. I don't have any of my Micro Machine stuff anymore.
I think I have a few Micro Machines roughly from the same spot that I just went and grabbed at Mighty Max.
Oh man, I miss even the micro machines themselves. I don't have any of those anymore. I missed them terribly.
They're back out.
Yeah, didn't they? I thought I'd heard that they're trying to make a comeback. I think.
Yeah, they. Who owns? I don't know. Probably
it was Galoob.
Hasbro. Yeah,
probably,
I think Hasbro owns them. Hasbro owns everything.
Yeah,
they're like the Disney.
They are
toy. Okay, and next one, the GI Joe Mobile Command Center. 3 floors of absolute awesomeness. Comes with the figure. You could put a small figure inside of this. That's like your little repair shop. You got a jail cell. You could see Cobra Commander in there. Missiles, everything you can imagine inside the GI Joe Mobile Command Center. But this is like what I told you before. You didn't want to push this thing because it was that tall once you folded up all the tiers. So, and it was very hard to fold them after a while too, to where you didn't want to break it. So it was more of a stationary command center after a while.
Oh man. Sorry, I got distracted. I was looking up current Macro Machines releases. There's some sweet ones. There's a new one that's an Optimus Prime that turns into a Macro Machines playset.
That's awesome.
Sign me up. But yeah, this thing looks really cool. I never was huge into GI Joe. I had a couple of them. I remember always wanting Sergeant Slaughter, but was never able to get them. But that's because I'm also a wrestling nerd. But I did watch the cartoon quite a bit. Man, but I don't think I ever really got into the toys because at the same time, this was also when I was hitting my Ninja Turtle fandom stage, and that was all it was for me. But yeah, this is a really sweet looking set because you're right. Look at all that stuff you can do.
Look and it comes with Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter right there, man.
Yeah. You got Sergeant Slaughter. It comes with the figure apparently bottom right there. So man, as a kid, why wouldn't you not want that? Because look at all the fun you can have.
Oh, that's sweet looking inside.
Yeah, that is really cool.
I love this thing.
It came with.
I had this. This was sitting underneath. I didn't even ask for this. I didn't even really knew it existed. So,
did it come with that Dune buggy? That Dune buggy is sweet.
No, that's one of the original release vehicles that came out.
Oh, okay.
And so my mom, I would give a list to, and if there's no kids in the room, because I'm about to break some kayfabe here.
Don't you do it? Just don't do it.
So my mom would give my list to Santa.
There you go. Yeah.
And I would get the list that I gave to my mom to give to Santa. Santa went off that list. But for some reason, the list that I would give to my dad, Santa would never go off of that list.
Yeah.
So this was so every Christmas from going to my dad's house was a little bit more of a surprise because of Santa.
So Santa visited both his houses and gave toys for you at both places?
Yes.
That is pretty amazing. You must have been a really good boy.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, Santa's a very forgiving Jedi.
But I thought this was like one of the coolest things ever, just because of all this stuff that you could do. Very interactive, from like looking like you're going to fix vehicles and everything else. There's a little medical bay on the second thing. Third one, the health.
You can play MASH with this.
Yeah. See, there you go. You can play MASH. But I love
I'll be radar.
I love this command center.
Hang on.
Got to be one of my greatest G.I. Joe things I've ever owned.
It is really cool. It is very cool. I think if I was more into G.I. Joe, like with the toys, because I like the cartoon quite a bit, but if I was more into the toys, this would have been the Messiah for me, like a grade A toy that I could possibly get. And this would be one heck of a surprise, especially if you didn't know it existed, but you still love G.I. Joe. This is a great. Santa did really good here.
Yeah, Santa did do good.
Mm-hmm. Man, how much work was this for the elves?
Oh man, yeah.
I think I paid overtime. I would have wanted this 100% if I knew it existed. I think these look like, so like I remember getting G.I. Joes, but like when Snake Eyes was around, and he didn't come around until what? At least late 80s, early 90s.
First release, man.
Yeah, Snake Eyes was one of the original ones, right?
He's one of the original, 6 or 8?
Yeah, something like that.
Really? I still feel like we got him like
They changed him through the years.
Yeah.
Like he became more of like a ninja type character.
What? Because there's that. If you watch the Toys That Made Us, they talk about Snake Eyes as they were running out of money, and they said, "Okay, well, one character can't have any deco," and they're like, "Nobody's gonna want this all black, GI Joe, like no color to it or anything else. He's wearing a mask and everything," and they're like, "Oh, well, let's just see how it goes," and it ended up becoming the most popular GI Joe.
I just remember we had
he was my favorite.
A red ninja GI Joe. I don't remember his name. And
that's what is it? She came later on after the movie.
Okay. So I'm that generation. That's where I got my GI Joes from. So I don't think these generation of GI Joes were the ones that I would have grown up with. It was just, I don't think my brother collected them. But man, if I was aware of this and a little bit older, this is definitely take my money worthy right here. This is an amazing playset. This is awesome.
And this is probably the funny thing. This is probably the third best out of GI Joe. Because if you guys ever seen the Defiant or the Flag,
the Flag's the giant one, right? It's really huge.
Yeah,
I've seen that one.
Defiant's like a huge rocket ship.
Yeah.
I think
I remember the Flag would almost take up like a whole bedroom. It was I'm struggling with this one because this one is either the very top tier or middle tier for me. It's definitely not last tier for sure. It's just too cool to be even considered for that last tier because just look how sweet this thing is. But I'm going to go better than Socks, and that's just purely because G.I. Joe was mid tier for me personally. Like the cartoon, but I wasn't heavy. When I actually had the few G.I. Joes I actually pretended they were wrestlers. Because they were really posable. Those little characters were really posable, and you could do wrestling moves with them.
Yeah,
this is the creator of the action figures, though, Johnny.
This is top tier, all the way.
No, I understand. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not historical.
It's not his. It's kind of like you with the Hall of Justice.
Yeah, just not my bag.
It's cool.
Bag.
We like it.
Yeah, I recognize how awesome it is for sure.
All right, and here is our next one.
Oh. Look at that thing. Oh, I remember the box.
Man, I just remember all these toys that came out after this movie all having really sweet box art.
Yeah, the box art,
like that gold and black has just worked for me.
Yeah, I remember seeing this. We went to the movies, and they had like a magazine or something. I had this as a kid. Like I said, anything comic book, we pretty much had. I remember going to the movies and seeing this and be like, yes, I want this. I need this. I want it for Christmas.
Did you get it?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Anything comic book I got, man. We built our own X-Men mansion one time because you couldn't find one.
Right.
My dad, like I said, huge comic book nerd. So,
do you have this one too, Brian?
Oh yeah, this is mine. This is
your pick, right?
Yep. Yeah. So very, very vivid memory of this toy. So, movie comes out 89, right? Probably May of 89 or something like that. So that following Christmas, we went down to Kentucky to visit my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. They all live in Murray, Kentucky. And my parents, all right, am I breaking kayfabe or not? Anyways, somehow Santa was able to get this toy to Murray, Kentucky, where I was. And I also found out that we brought a tree down. We brought a Christmas tree, a real tree down with us, plus whatever luggage was up in the carry-all, whatever, on top of the station wagon. But I wake up and this is my big present that I open up, and I would have been 5. So this is the Christmas memory for me of freaking out, getting that character, both those characters, getting the Batmobile. I was hooked up, and this one was super fun to play with because it was in homage of the movie. It wasn't exactly 1-to-1 scenes of the movie, but it had some of that Tim Burton vibe behind it.
Yeah. Did this one come with any of the figures?
That I can't remember.
I
I
don't
don't know
think
if
it did.
we didn't see it on the box. I don't think it did. I think we had to get these separate. The cool thing about that Batman is his belt buckle was on like a retractable string. So like you could like pull it out and like hook it onto something and it would pull Batman up to wherever you hooked it up.
Oh, so like you could use them on that pulley thing there.
Yeah.
That was actually like kind of like a well system,
Yeah.
and you could actually like crank guys down there and then up.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this is like when I look at this, I think of Michael Keaton and Adam West. Adam West is the first Batman that I know of because of the 1960s reruns, watching them and before the movie. I know there's better Batmans, just like I know there's way better Batcaves out there. But this one is like the most iconic one. And if I had to have one, I would want the one that I have the most memories with, and it's this one. And that's why I would definitely, if I had the money, I'd get this one now.
Oh man. All right. So I love Batman, obviously. Oh, man. This playset's really sweet, but again, this is better than Socks for me. And that's just because Ninja Turtles just trumps all for me. But this is still really, really freaking cool. I honestly, personally, I want these action figures more than I want this playset, but that's me.
The action figures.
Those action figures are really freaking cool.
The cool thing about this whole toy line, though, and I'm sure Andrew, I bet you remember this detail. The Batmobile was die cast. It was a gigantic. The thing was almost as long as the Batcave is, and it was made out of metal. Like it was legit, like a collector's piece. But it was the toy that you're supposed to play with that Batman and stuff. So that's what made like this like even cooler and the best Christmas maybe ever.
Yeah, once you got into like the Batman Return ones, those were good, and the Batman the animated series one, but those ones they kind of like switched their Batman. Like you would get wacky Batman, especially like animated series. The Batman turned into like something like Iron Man, where it's like, do I really need Arctic Batman? Where this one was Batman, kind of like the superpowers. So if you had this Batman and the superpowers Batman, you just had Batman. You had none of the Batman with the jetpack, color changing Batman, or I remember I had quick changing Bruce Wayne, where you just put on like the gauntlets and the cowl and like boots, and all of a sudden he was Batman. And I think there was a thing for the chest, but Batman Returns. But this was Batman.
And look at the Joker figure right there. Like that Joker figure is badass,
especially with that hat. Man, that hat really adds to it for me.
Yeah. So yeah, Christmas '89. This is what I got, and it was awesome.
You got the top tier on this one, or where are you going?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So our next one, Johnny was very vague on this one, and he just said wrestling ring, which I gotta say,
well, that's because this literally you picked a great one. That's because like most of them are kind of very similar.
I have the best one after this. So
I had I got big into wrestling in the mid 90s, right as WCW was becoming quote unquote good. And there were really sweet figures that I had of those, and that was the wrestling ring I wanted was for that one specifically, and it was really cool. But any of these I think kind of fits the same idea I'm going for here. But if you collected wrestling figures like I did, having a wrestling ring was a must-have.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we talk about a lot of the stuff like with the G.I. Joes and the Ninja Turtles. You could kind of work around that, but you need a wrestling ring. And this, I went with the Hasbro. I listened to a lot of the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, and Hasbro line is huge with them. I was an LJN kid. I don't know. Did you own any wrestlers, Brian, or no?
Oh yeah, I had this ring, and I know exactly which wrestling figures go with this ring.
Yeah. Which one? It was the Hogan, right?
Well, it's just the line of the 4-inch hard plastic ones with all sorts of like special moves that they could do.
I love that there's just an American flag just going up from the turnbuckle there.
That's all I have left of this ring, Johnny. I don't have the ring anymore. I think it's been long gone, but I still have that flag.
You know what
it showed up in a random bin. I'm like, I think it snapped onto the ring I used to own.
That's cool.
that flag, you'd be surprised at how much people want for just that flag.
Really?
Oh, he's not wrong, especially these older toys, because those are the one of the parts that any part that people lose a lot that's easy to lose.
Yeah.
If you still have some of those, they're usually worth a little bit just because of that. Yeah.
Like anything with like shirts or anything on there, if you can find it with that, it's worth. People pay top dollar. Like there's a Remco, Shawn Michaels, and Marty Jannetty when they were with AWA, and I guess they had sunglasses. And if you can find just the sunglasses or with them with the sunglasses, they're worth like the sunglasses. People pay up to $100 even more.
Wow.
And people are 3D printing them, reproing them, and everything else. This is the best picture I could find.
This is the one I had. This is the one I had.
A floating bash at the beach?
Yeah, but I never put it in the pool. But it had all this stuff. Oh man, I had these. I had every one of these figures too. This is bringing back so many memories. Oh my god! This is so fun.
I had to include what I thought was probably one of the most iconic rings for WWF, WWE, whatever you want to say, and the one from WCW.
Yeah.
And I would have known that this existed if Matt Cardona didn't buy this, unbox it, put it together, and then float it in his pool.
I saw that episode. Yeah. Yes.
And that's the only reason. I mean, this picture's not that great, but just to
all right, so look at all these figures, and can you guess which one? Because my favorite figure is on here. Can you tell me which one's my favorite figure that I had as a kid?
The Hitman.
He's up there, but he's not my favorite.
Sting? Are you a Sting guy?
No, I'm a Billy Kidman guy.
Oh, are you?
Now who's on the slide?
Yep. I was a big fan of him. He's the first time I ever saw a shooting star from the turnbuckle. That move was so cool to me. And I was like, this Billy Kidman guy is awesome. And you could never powerbomb him either. He got out of every powerbomb. But I also love that in this same, this is a little thing for Andrew and I, that in this same picture, you got Goldberg and Bret Hart.
Oh,
I just want to take his picture to Bret Hart himself and see what he says about it.
Oh, gee.
Just don't bring up the Montreal screw job.
No, Goldberg's worse.
He hates Goldberg way more than that screw job.
Have you ever heard any of his interviews lately?
He brings up Goldberg no matter what the question is. You can say, hey, Bret Hart, how's your day going? And his answer will be, I just really hate Goldberg.
Yeah. You're like, I don't understand why Goldberg's still in the WWE Hall of Fame when he hurt everybody that he wrestled with.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean, not that he hurt people, but that he always brings
is he notoriously a poor wrestler as far as that goes?
I don't think it was all of his fault in a way, because he kind of came up with...
I think he did what they wanted him to do.
Yeah.
The problem is, and I grew up a Goldberg fan when I was a kid. Like, he was my favorite in the 90s was Goldberg, because I just thought he was so cool. But the problem is he's really huge and strong. And like, he literally ended Bret Hart's career with a mule kick. Like, he kicked Bret Hart so hard that Bret Hart ended up having like brain issues and he had to retire.
Oh.
So that's why Bret Hart has a lot of hard feelings toward him. Very understandable.
Yes.
But you can take any wrestler and, famously Owen Hart hurt Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Owen Hart's beloved. So it just kind of depends on who you are, really. Owen Hart is a much better wrestler than Goldberg, just overall, ability wise.
Oh yeah.
But when if you ask a 15-year-old me who I'm pulling for, it's Goldberg all the way. He jackhammered the Giant, and I screamed at the top of my lungs how cool that was.
Yeah, Owen Hart to me is the coolest heel of all time.
Oh, I love Owen Hart. Yeah,
I just love
my favorite heel to root for.
I was thinking about this the other day. I was watching the Teddy Hart documentary thing.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about it. Like, Brett brings up Goldberg, but he never brings up about how his brother died. And I think because he knows where his money's coming from.
He used to. And Owen Hart's wife still, I think, there's a reason why Owen Hart's not in that Hall of Fame is because of her. So,
but back to the ring.
Back to the ring. Back to the actual toy. Let's go back to the toy.
I think for me, this is definitely top tier because you need a ring. No matter what, you need a ring. So the wrestling ring is a top tier, no matter what ring you want, no matter if you collected LJN's, Hasbro, Toy Biz's, San Francisco Toy Maker, anything of those brands, you still need a ring. It is the most crucial part of wrestling toys.
1,000%. Just not WCW. Just like I hated on DC, I hated on WCW. Didn't own a single figure from them. I don't really know what my hatred stemmed from, but it existed and it's real. But I did own a ring, and it was the previous one that was on the screen, and it was dope. And yes, Andrew's right. The rings in general are on top tier. I think I had a like a briefcase style, like open close, maybe like ring that you could like put the figures inside when you're going someplace, and then you could open it back up.
Yeah.
I'm not positive of that.
Oh, we got to tier those too. The toy carrying case. Do you remember those, Johnny?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
sure.
My brother had a Darth Vader and like a gun.
I had a Ninja Turtle one for sure.
Oh, the toy carrying case.
I am shocked.
But yeah, WCW ruled when I was a kid. So man, especially side note, look up Sid Vicious. He's the one shooting the little squirt gun, and he happens to be shooting Goldberg. But look up Sid Vicious Goldberg, and there's some of the best quote unquote acting you'll ever see. It's hilarious. But this is obviously A plus tier for me as well. Yeah, I need this now again. I don't think I still have. Do I still have this wrestling ring? I have to go look through my old toys, but I still have some old wrestling figures for sure.
Awesome.
This was mine. You knew it was coming.
Why are we even discussing this one?
This is Castle Grayskull.
I mean, this is like when you think of playsets. This is probably the first one any '80s kid remotely thinks of first. I would dare say. This even if you didn't like He-Man, like this one's still one you like. Oh yeah, Castle Grayskull.
Great box art.
Fantastic. This is better than great. It's fantastic box art. And look at He-Man's hair there. Just amazing hair.
Look at his thighs.
Yes,
Good Lord. Be an NFL running back with those kind of thighs.
Because he's He-Man, damn it.
And look how big it is, like in comparison to that kid in the bottom corner there.
Oh,
it was a big toy.
Yeah, it was.
It was also a carrying case. So this was pulling double duty, but just the outside, even my newer one doesn't compare. I still feel to this one, even though my newer one, if you put the sword in there, it actually unlocks the door.
Oh, that's
cool.
The
He-Man Origins. But this was, man, I love Castle Grayskull from nobody.
There it is, Brian. Did you see that?
Do you want me to go back?
That transition's my favorite one. Look at
it's
that.
origami.
I know. That reminds me of when you're a kid and the girls would all like make a little fold up thing and be like, who am I going to marry? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Am I going to live in a mansion or whatever? That type of thing.
No, origami is very peaceful. It's supposed to calm you. It's very zen.
Oh yeah, origami is pretty great. But this, what else is great? This playset.
This is.
Oh yeah, it is, dude. My brother had this playset.
The trap door. Once you move that seat, trap door, you go down. Training center. Got your gun, and I could tell this is a different one because this one has the spacesuit. This is definitely 1982 because of the spacesuit in there.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and the computer, you got your little elevator, stand. You got your weapons rack, training thing. The ladder is also different, though, because in the He-Man Origins one, you can actually hook it to things. But this is, I'll let you. Well, I can't say anything until the end, so
I'll go first this time, Johnny. My brother had this. It was the play set for the longest time until we slowly started gathering up other ones. I think I have vivid image of this being up in my parents' attic last time we were up there pulling crap out. So if my brother doesn't take it on the next one, even though it's just half, I might have to take it just for nostalgia. Yeah, tier 1 by far. You gotta have this, especially if you love the cartoons. If you fell in love with the cartoons like so many of us did, then why wouldn't you want this?
I don't even understand why this is even a discussion. I don't care where your fandom stands on He-Man. This is the playset in which other playsets are compared to. So this one's the top tier all the way. And I'm not even a giant He-Man fan, and I wanted this thing. So
Anybody knows me, this is top tier all the way.
Yeah, and I love the toys that made us when they talked about this too. It's pretty very fascinating.
My favorite part about this is if you could kind of see at the bottom where the door is.
That's yep. I know what you're gonna say. Yeah.
That just nasty looking pit thing.
Yep.
The best.
Oh man. I don't know whose pick this is.
This was Brian's. Shockingly, this was Brian. Brian jumped in first on this one.
Oh yes. I believe this is yet another Christmas present. I think the last one of mine is a birthday present. I don't remember though, but I do. I think I remember opening this up on Christmas, and it was a long time waiting for getting this. Like Andrew, you said, having the ring is like so important to having the figures. Like having the figures of the ring just kind of sucked. It's not like during the Attitude Era, at least you could go and pretend that they're having a street fight somewhere like they would do from time to time. Not so much in those early 90s with Hogan and whatnot. But as far as this toy goes, I went a long time with just playing with the Turtles by themselves. Just having the Turtles, having Shredder, and just like that by itself. And then realizing come Christmas time when you got that, toy book and you're circling stuff and whatnot, this one was probably circled like 4 times, and then shoved in my parents' faces and go, this is what I need. And I got it, and it went perfect with my cousin having the Technodrome. Like we and like he had he was more spoiled than me, if you believe it or not, but he had like the Mousers and stuff like that too. So like me having this was my only one up on him that I had. It was like, yeah, but you don't have the sewer. And over time, I slowly lost pieces of this, especially if you can see in that picture in the lower left corner, where the pipe sticks out. Like I definitely lost those pipes within a year. It's way cool.
Yeah. I mean, look how cool. Just look how cool that is. Good guy. This is the one I always wanted and never got. I was very jealous of it, of my friends who had this. I was never able to get it. I had the turtle van and I had a turtle blimp, and that was it.
You had the blimp?
Yeah. Don't anymore. Trevor also had the blimp. I remember that as well. But very. This is bringing up a lot of hard feelings for me because I always wanted this thing and never got it. So because I'm with Brian, I would, before any of these playsets, I would just have the turtles fighting. I still to this day remember the argument I had with my mom over why I needed more than one foot soldier.
Yeah. That's
like you got to have more than one because they got to fight. They don't fight just one foot soldier, Mom.
Like many.
Yeah. But man, this thing is. Oh man, this is bringing up a lot of sad memories for me.
Santa was having money troubles one year, and my mom helped them out by working 2 extra jobs on top of her other one, and it must have helped them enough because I had a whole Ninja Turtle Christmas where I got like pretty much every Ninja Turtle figure out at that point, and I got this. And my favorite part about this was actually the pipes. I have no idea why, but the pipes are my favorite.
Because that makes it even more like a sewer.
I love the way that you could just move them anywhere and do that. And then I like the periscope too, and that little red spike or yellow spike ball, you throw it down the tube and everything else. But this is top tier. If I saw this sitting somewhere and if I had the money, I'd buy this in a heartbeat.
Do I even need to say that this is top tier for me?
Johnny,
I don't even think I even need to say it. So yeah.
And obviously top tier for me as well. And it's the play set. When you asked me about my play sets that I had, this is the play set I probably thought of.
It was so great.
Before we move on to the next one, I was very curious with your Castle Grayskull.
Yeah.
And how much that retailed as when it came out. $24.90.
Oh, yeah. Actually, the origin one is very affordable. I got it for, my wife thinks $50. I got it for $75 at Walmart, and I think they only come in a case of 2, and I picked it up, and it comes with a limited edition sorceress figure, all in white.
That's awesome.
And I was like, oh, maybe I should buy both, so on. And then the good conscience inside of me said, you know what? There's some other guy out there that's like me, and he's gonna see this, and he doesn't want to play, eBay scalper prices. So
Yeah,
like we're just gonna let it go because I think that's just insane. And here is
don't get me started on scalpers.
here's our next one.
Yeah.
Ewok Village. You also could have picked this was also used in the Robin Hood movie as well. So I'm glad you picked the Ewok Village.
But
It wasn't. No, it wasn't.
It's the same. It's basically the same thing. They just reworked it. Yeah.
Kenner took a lot of the Ewok vehicles and stuff and just made it into Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. Like
I think they even said that on the Toys That Made Us, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you listen to Brian and I as a Star Wars podcast, the airing of grievances, you'll know that Return of the Jedi is my personal favorite Star Wars movie, and I always loved this Ewok Village. How fun it is! I mean, it's just so cool. I mean, look at it. It's just what I really wanted though is I really wanted to have multiple ones so I could make like a giant village, but I never got that. I was never that lucky. But just look how sweet it is. I mean, good gosh, it's just so dang cool.
This is probably my brother was more of the Star Wars collector, considering he was born 3 years before me. But I think this is the one thing me and Johnny became friends over, other than other things, where Return of the Jedi is my favorite one too, in all the Star Wars movies. And this is a cool playset. And if you ever, I don't know if they still do it, this was years ago, but we went to MGM Studios, and before the Star Tours ride, they have a replica Ewok Village. And if you go back through the Star Tours line at night, they light up all like the little windows inside the Ewok Village and make it sound like they're like partying in there. You don't actually see any Ewoks, but I met Chewbacca. It was a guy in a costume at MGM Studios. But just be.
Well, that wouldn't happen now because Chewbacca's at Disneyland and Disney World now. Yeah. But yeah, that's still cool though.
But this Kenner's so amazing. I cannot say enough about Kenner.
I mean, they're the reason that action figures started being this size.
Yeah. This is top tier because it's Return of the Jedi, it's Ewoks, it's amazing.
What'd you think, Brad?
I don't know this one. I had a different image in my head when you said Ewok Village. My sister had I remember she had I thought it was an Ewok Village that you could close it and you press a button and then the treetop popped open for you to play with. It reminded me of the Christmas special, that. Yeah, like that kind of a tree house that they lived in.
I think there might have been 2.
Okay.
Because there was the Ewok cartoon.
Yes.
And I think that's what that's from that I was remembering. This is cool, man. I don't remember this toy. Not the same cousin, a much older cousin, he was the one that had all the original run of Star Wars toys. I don't think he had this, though. He had a lot of cool stuff, but not this. I don't know. I guess I'll put it tier 2. It's way better than Socks, especially because you mentioned Return of the Jedi being my favorite as a kid. I would have loved pretending to try to roast Han Solo over a fire, but it's cool. They capitalized big time on the whole wave, man. It was just crazy the way kids went nuts over these toys back then.
This is much better than the Darth Vader Death Star or Star Destroyer. If you ever see that, Retro Blasting does a great job of just tearing that poor place set apart. And all
this is ultimate A tier for me as well.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Daily Bugle playset. I am not a Spider-Man guy, but I love the Spider-Man cartoon, and I had all this stuff. And this was a Christmas present one year. Once again, like I said, my dad was huge into comic books, so anything comic books we got. I actually have a picture of this. He got bored, I guess, during the week and decided to set up our figures, take pictures. I don't know where it is. I would have to dig for it, but it is really cool how he did set them up. I wish I could have found it before this, but this is the Daily Bugle playset. Probably one of the last play sets to come with the elusive slime in there. as you can see right in the bottom right hand corner. You put that in the little water towel or tower, comes down. Great, kind of like artwork too with the whole, Eddie Brock thing, this Doc Ock type thing, and he could swing from that little red line. Spider-Man would go back and forth. It was just an awesome playset. For some reason, obviously, I remember it being a bigger, but it wasn't. But this is one of my favorite playsets growing up.
Yeah, this thing's just freaking cool. I am a Spider-Man fan, so if I could have had a Spider-Man fighting Doc Ock on this thing, I would have been in heaven. So this is pretty sweet to me. My favorite Lego set of recent is a Daily Bugle. That's because it's really sweet. But yeah, this is just freaking cool because I too love that 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that run, was it in 93, 94?
Somewhere around in there, yeah.
It was a single season, which I always thought there was multiple seasons. It was just really long. But once it came on Disney Plus, I had to watch it.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. And I was like, I remember this being more than just one season. But then again, it probably went into syndication and I just watched the crap out of it. I don't remember this toy, though, and it's kind of bothering me. I do want to say that there must have been some sort of like dead period where, as spoiled as I may be, my parents were like, how many play sets do you really need? Like, do you really? Like, I may have circled this and said, and they said, no. And I remember my cousin having some of the Spider-Man toy line, but I don't think he had this. It's pretty cool. I would definitely, if I was a kid and I had access to this toy and thought I could get it, I'd want it. It's way better than socks.
Oh yeah, I'm going to put it better than socks as well. The only thing that's really kind of disappointing me is, I mean, I do like the fact that you can actually have slime. That's pretty cool. But like if you look at the art at the bottom there, like just give me a bus stop bench there. Like you don't need to paint it on there. Just give me an actual bus stop bench.
Gotta save money somehow, Johnny.
And a plant. Yeah. Like that doesn't seem like it. Look how much you've already done. Like, why is that such a big deal to not add those little plastic pieces? But that's just me. So I'm going to put this in. This is definitely much better than socks.
Yeah, this is top tier for me. Even though I'm not, it's not a huge Spider-Man fan because we never got a proper, like mansion for the X-Men or anything. And this was the closest proper Marvel play set that I can remember. So the top tier all the way. Here's our next one. The real Ghostbusters Firehouse Headquarters.
Again, why are we even talking about this? Everybody's going to say this is A+ tier, right?
Ectoplasm. No slime in this one. Ectoplasm. And I love the fact that you put it on the top. And this was so cool because, once again, the box art, you see the kid playing with it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. But I love the pole going down and everything else. Containment unit, put your Brian, this is Brian's, and here I am.
What?
I'm going on and on and on about it. Like it was my nominee.
Oh, well, yeah, because you know how awesome it is. Because you got to take these characters here. Imagine I'm holding Winston as well. He's at my parents' house somewhere. I just have not found him. As much as I loved the sewer, as much as I loved getting the Batcave, this, and I think it might have been a birthday, maybe it was Christmas, don't remember, but I do remember everyone, even my sisters who weren't that big into like the cartoons, the real Ghostbusters as I was, but everybody, once it was put together, it was like, this thing is awesome. It looked so cool. And obviously, that same Christmas I got Ecto 1 and a few extra monsters, ghosts, whatever, to go along with it. Do you remember the policeman ghost where his face flip open?
Yes.
I had the football player.
Okay. I think I may have had him too. Like over the time, like I definitely collected a whole bunch of these. Where I got the Mighty Max from across the hall from me here in the basement where I record, I definitely have the trap or the containment right there that you see in the picture.
It's great for Hot Pockets.
Check out of our Patreon if you're
that's a deep cut. Deep cut.
How'd that go over my head? I haven't missed one. That's all right. I know this is at my parents' house right now, but I know of all the play sets I tried to keep over the time, this is the one that got beat up the most. And this is the one that I feel the worst about letting it just get so trashed over time and just forgotten about and shoved in the basement and whatnot. So it is the coolest one. And I'll always thank my parents for, because I know that this one was pretty pricey. I'm pretty sure this one retailed like around $50, which is big deal. That's big money for play sets back in the day.
This is just freaking sweet. Ghostbusters is one of my favorite properties in the first place. I definitely watched this cartoon a lot. I had some of these figures for sure. I wish I still had them, but I don't. I think that I still remember one of my cousins had the Ecto 1 and they, for whatever reason, didn't want it anymore. So it was like a hand-me-down to me. And that was a great day for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's because it was so cool. But sadly, I don't have that anymore either. But man, this playset is just really, really sweet. This is top tier for me.
Yeah, this was actually a profit sharing. My dad worked for kind of a small company, so there was only like 4 guys. So whatever profit from the owners, they would do like a little bit of profit sharing. And then this was a profit sharing purchase, but this is top tier all the way.
So we all had this one. This is the first time.
No, I did not have this.
I had this.
We all had the sewer though.
I had the sewer.
No, I didn't have the sewer either.
Johnny had the Technodrome.
I had the Technodrome.
All right. So far, there has not been any playset that all 3 of us have had. I feel bad about that.
Makes sense, though. There's a lot of playsets.
I do like the... Oh.
Man.
Like I said, he's a great little... And it even says, carry along playset. So
they made multiple of these. This is obviously my pick. It's the Ninja Turtles Mini Mutants. I had 3 or 4 of these. I had that baseball Leonardo for sure. I had a Raphael one, and I had I can't remember what the other one was off the top of my head, but I had quite a few of these, and I played with these things all the time. These are bringing back so many memories. Man, I wish I still had these things. God, they're so cool.
Yeah,
I had these.
I never even had. I remember seeing them, but I never had them.
Wait, that's one playset?
That's the turtle. Yes, the turtle van that turns into that. I didn't have that one. Sadly.
Oh, that's cooler than my Mighty Max castle. That thing's awesome.
Yeah, that was really sweet. That's the holy grail for me, and I never got it.
Yeah, this one I was looking through and I saw this, and I was like, I'm gonna put this in here just because I liked how it looked.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It was so great. I'm not gonna lie, because it was just going through and looking at everything. These do look cool. I'm gonna put them in because I wasn't like huge. Oh, but this one, okay, yeah, I'm gonna put it as top tier because I'm not like maybe, but this one's real cool because it's also the party wagon. If I got this one, this is top tier because it's also the party wagon and the sewer. You're combining the best of both worlds.
I didn't own these. What I owned in miniature form was I had the Micro Machine Star Wars line. Me and my brother. And in fact, there was one Christmas. It was my brother-in-law, my brother, and myself. Where one of us opened up a present. It was Micro Machine Star Wars something.
I had some of those sets too. Come to think of it, yeah.
I wish I knew that these existed. I might look into trying to buy this wagon. Then this is pretty badass. If I knew this existed as a kid, I would have wanted it. And I don't know why I didn't know about this, but this is worthy of tier 1 in my opinion, just based on the fact of like, look at all the different stuff you can do on it in such a tiny little thing.
Yeah. Like if it was just those little play sets, I probably would have put in an I don't get it. Right. Even though it's Ninja Turtles and I do love Ninja Turtles too, not as much as Johnny, but I do love Ninja Turtles. But looking at this one, this is definitely makes this whole entire like line that they had top tier.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, like, just for an example, that baseball Leonardo, you could play baseball with the Ninja Turtles, Andrew. So the fact that you don't get it is blowing my mind.
Well, I don't get. I wasn't into like the small little play sets.
Obviously, I was because I love this in Micro Machines. But yeah, this is A tier. Even the other play sets in this series is A tier for me. So I adore these things. This brings back so many amazing memories of. I would actually. When I have to go to like a relative's house and I knew I'd be bored, like you could take these with you because they're so small, and you have a whole little playset there that you can carry in your pocket. And I can play Ninja Turtles over at like my aunt's house or something. So yeah, this brings back so many great memories. This is probably my absolute favorite toys that I ever had was these.
That's awesome. And here is our last one. Of course, I brought it out. Snake Mountain.
You brought out the snake?
I brought out the snake. Here we go from, keeping it good for the kids to brought out the snake.
It's all right. I purposely passed up a joke about Johnny having a miniature turtle playset in his pocket, or is he just happy to see me?
Yeah. And the answer is both. Yeah.
But I also had Snake Mountain because He-Man was huge. I definitely grew up in this era where He-Man was huge, and it wasn't until later on He-Man started falling out. But this was awesome, especially the microphone. The microphone was like the coolest part. So you had like the snake head and that like wolf's head, and you could talk into it, and it would like change your voice. It wasn't the best, but you could be like, "I'm gonna get you, He-Man," and
I'm gonna get you, He-Man.
And the great thing about this one that makes it almost Castle Grayskull is just more iconic, but this one you had you could play more in the front with the bridges and everything else.
He-Man. Yeah. This I'm gonna go ahead and say this. This is maybe controversial to Andrew, but Skeletor is so much cooler than He-Man to me. I thought Skeletor was so freaking cool.
I get it. But even on the inside, there's not too much going on the inside, but the decals make up for it. I know Johnny kind of tore down the Daily Bugle playset for the bus stop, but this one, I loved this as a kid.
Well, a lot of your play sets, especially, I mean, even now, take that little shortcut. So like it's not something other places hadn't done.
What's that bird thing?
That's the sorceress. She can transform into a bird.
Yeah, Brian. Get with the times.
I don't remember her.
How do you not? She's one of the only two people that know that Prince Adam is actually He-Man.
Oh man,
I almost called him Prince Valiant, but that's from
Oh,
that's from Sleeping Beauty, isn't it?
trying to get Motu guys to cancel our program, Brian. Like they're gonna be like, don't ever have Brian on your program again.
It is a He-Man, just like a bit too, like just that name derivative. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a he and it's a man. Like, why do I need that to be the name?
Yeah. Why you gotta come on, guys?
Prince Adam's a much better name than He-Man. Prince Adam's not that great.
I actually found a He-Man and Skeletor ornament at Walmart.
That's cool. But I'm just saying, like, just compare the name, just the names, He-Man to Skeletor. Skeletor just even sounds awesome.
Because
He-Man to me sounds like there was the American show with English words, and then China ripped it off, and then they called it He-Man.
Yeah, where's She-Woman at?
That's She-Ra. I
know, but they should have named her She-Woman instead of She-Ra.
They wanted to, but they felt She-Ra was better.
Well, She-Ra is a better
just
name
like
than She-Woman.
Skeletor's name was supposed to be D-Man.
No.
D-Man or Bone Man.
No. Somebody in that board meeting, somebody along the
I gotta get a Bone Man. I gotta get myself a Bone Man.
Guys, we are treading way too closely to this.
We got a lot of
erotic.
Do you know what Merman's original name was?
No.
Seaman.
Well, in fairness, that's also a Dreamcast video game.
Oh yeah,
it's called Seaman. So.
They
not
will
my Dreamcast.
They will tell you if you watch the Toys That Made Us, and
which oddly enough, Andrew, you also had you communicated with Seaman as well, just like you communicate with this playset.
But if you watch the Toys That Made Us and the Power of Grayskull documentary, you'll realize that most of the time when they were coming up with these names, they were pretty drunk, considering there is a guy called Whiplash and his tongue, or not Whiplash, Tongue Lasher, and his tongue goes in and out and retracts like the old Venom.
Well, I mean, even if you don't care for He-Man toys, you can't sit there and look at them and not say they didn't influence toy lines after them for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Ninja Turtles were obviously heavily influenced by He-Man figures.
Same.
When you get all these really, when you get these wild characters and stuff that they start making, like Ace the Duck, just throwing that out as an example.
Love Ace the Duck.
I do too.
Jimbo.
Oh yeah, yep.
But the artist,
the same artist created. Yeah.
Oh, heavily influenced. But that is.
This looks like it could have been a carrying case kind of too.
That's what they wanted to do with a lot of their toys. Is there's a couple vehicles that are also even carrying cases as well.
Okay.
Very proud.
Where are we putting this?
I think it's pretty cool. I'll go first, Johnny. I don't remember this, but if you had a family member or friend that had Castle Grayskull, then you would probably want this to like counter it. So like for that aspect, both of these are, both those toys and that toy line are fantastic. So I like this enough that it's better than socks.
I am torn on this because I wasn't a giant He-Man fan. I did always think Skeletor was freaking cool though. Just a great character design, and how evil is a man who has a skeleton for a face. That's just cool as a kid, and it's cool now. And isn't this technically supposed to be his place?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where I'm torn on this, because I do think that Castle Grayskull is just a better playset than this. But the fact that you can actually talk into this and interact with it yourself, that's a cool little feature. So I'm going to go with, I didn't put a single playset, by the way, in the bottom tier, and I can't put this one in the bottom tier either. This is going better than socks for me.
This is top tier for me. It's just because it's He-Man.
No, I get it. That's how I am with Turtles. So I totally get
it. It is. I was writing everything down, but pretty much I think the only one that made the bottom tier was the Hall of Justice, and it was Brian. He just didn't get it, which very understandable.
Yeah, which we get. We get that you didn't get it.
But that concludes the tier list. Brian, guy on the couch, you want to tell everybody about what you're doing when you're not on the couch?
Yeah, when you don't find me here, which who knows when that'll be again. I may be getting booted off forever, which is okay, because at least we're part of the same network, and I have one podcast with Johnny, so he's tied to me forever.
I'm fine with it.
I'm still doing Crafting and Drafting, your bi-weekly silly topic draft podcast. I've never fully grasped exactly how to explain that, but I think that works. The latest episode that you'll be able to hear was we did a sports movie podcast, that draft topic. It was fantastic, a lot of fun. I am still doing I just said crafting, 2-point conversation for now, until unfortunately we have to close the book on that chapter. And the Out of Tune podcast, also obviously on the network and wherever you find your podcasts, wherever you're listening to this podcast. That's the best thing about doing a podcast and then going on another person's podcast is you're like, hey, podcast. I do a podcast. Stay on this podcast app and go find my podcast.
My friend.
It used to be really cool when you could say I have a podcast, but now like everyone has one.
Yeah, my one friend has a podcast, and like podcasting was just kind of like the hobby thing for me. Unless you want to donate, become a Patreon member for only $1 a month and get exclusive content.
That's right. Yeah.
Or, subscribe to the Nostalgia Funhouse YouTube channel as well.
Wait, you have another friend who has a podcast? Because I'm getting jealous, Andrew.
But I didn't know he had a podcast. Like he kept it from me.
No. It's like being a vegan. If you are a podcaster, you must tell everyone at all
that
times.
Makes no sense to me. Like that's how I meet people now. That's the first thing I say. I have a podcast. My name's Johnny.
He's actually was on when this was Let's Talk but No Politics, okay, and then all of a sudden he has a podcast, and it's I don't know. It's something about there's nothing fixing the butter. It's just kind of like an everything podcast, but his one friend on there. I don't know if I offended him at all, because when I was listening to it, I was like, "Are you doing that with Seth Rogen?" Because that's exactly what his friend sounds like, Seth Rogen.
Oh man, I'm jealous. Are you mad that I don't sound like Seth Rogen?
No, because it's weird. I like the contrast of the North and the South between us.
Yeah, we're having our own civil war here.
Yeah, even though I live in Texas now, so
yeah.
Where's your twang? Say y'all. Andrew.
Where's your y'all? Oh, I thought he was talking to me. I was very happy that he thought I didn't have a twang for a second.
I thought one time, I got to tell you this. I did Retro Bliss with Johnny and Trevor. And I've noticed I pick up on people's accents, like if I talk to them for too long. So we're doing the skit, and next thing you know, I'm like talking in a southern accent. I need to stop this now before somebody realizes it. And I'm like, and I know they probably did, but I just like, I'm not gonna do it. And when I had to get my pool fixed, there was some Latino, Latin gentleman out there from Mexico, and they're talking to me, and I just out of nowhere I just started doing like a little bit of that accent. I was like, I gotta stop this. Like my brain's like, hey, you need to talk like they talk, and then that way everything works out fine. And I do not mean to offend anybody at all. It was like, I was asking, I was like, are you gonna put the dirt in?
It's just going chorizo, huh?
And I'm like, oh,
I just want everybody to know that I do not condone any of this.
I don't either. I don't know what's wrong with me.
But it also helps that I can't do accents, so I can't offend anybody if everyone wanted to.
Yeah, but that's kind of.
I just always sound like this unless I'm doing a character. But when I'm doing a character, guess what? They also still sound a little southern.
Yeah,
slightly southern. Yeah,
I like it. I think for the next pop culture court, you should do like the classic southern lawyer.
Well, I do declare.
Yes, I would love that. Or I say. We need to do a skit where you like. This sounds so horrible. There's so many classic like southern stereotypes, like the southern cop.
I can do them because I'm southern.
Yes.
Andrew. Well, technically you can too, because I'm considering you southern now as well.
I think I'm pretty much there. Like,
yeah, you live in Texas. If Brian does it, then our friendship's over.
I have a bag of great value.
Look, he's got Egon.
Yes, I have Egon. I have Egon, Peter, and
Peter.
Egon's my favorite.
Winston is missing, and I'm mad about it. But no, I have a bag of fried okra in my freezer right now. So
he's more southern. He's way more southern.
You're bringing me back to hanging out with my grandma with the fried okra.
I think the most southern thing I've done since I moved here that I never really realized was I've fried chicken in a cast iron skillet.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff, though. I don't understand why that's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
To be that you went and got it from a gas station, which I heard is amazing.
It is amazing. I never thought you could eat food from a gas station until I moved down south and QT and Buc-ee's. And
I used to get I used to work next door to a gas station. I would go there all the time for lunch because I could just walk to it and get myself a hot dog or whatever they had going on.
Buc-ee's
a roller dog.
Oh yeah, definitely a roller dog. Yeah,
Buc-ee's is like the most amazing place on the face of the earth. Like,
there's like 2 for $1, Brian.
Those are the best. QT's always got killer deals.
Buc-ee's is like a TNA truck stop mixed with a Target.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're just now getting Buc-ee's in our area, sort of. I think the closest one's near Charlotte, which is like an hour from me. But yeah, they're definitely catching on. I've seen many a video and I've heard many a people talk about how great that place is.
It is one of those places where
I want to try the food. I've heard nothing but great things about the food.
The only thing I've ever had bad at Buc-ee's was the key lime pudding. And it was just too like sour and tart.
Yeah.
So but the brisket sandwich isn't bad. I've eaten breakfast at Buc-ee's. I've eaten lunch at Buc-ee's.
In Texas. He said those words in Texas that he had the brisket sandwich.
They told me to.
Yeah.
When we first came here for vacation, my daughter was trying out for the softball team, and the guy was like, "Hey, have you guys been to Buc-ee's?" And I'm like, "No." And it's like, "Oh, it's a huge gas station. They got a pretty good brisket sandwich." And I'm like, "I don't eat at a gas station, man. I'm from New York. What do you want me to die at some point?" And I love eating at gas stations now. I go to the QT down the street and get macaroni and cheese and stuff sometimes. And you get a free fountain drink with your purchase of mac and cheese.
And those fountain drinks, you get like an 85-ounce fountain drink for like $1. It's so great. Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, I think that does it for us. Yep. Thank you, Brian, for being on the show with us again. We'll definitely obviously have you on at some point, because we're going to need you to pitch hit, I'm sure, sometime. But yeah, Andrew, I think we've done it. We've gone and done it.
Yep. Once again, go to our Patreon. If you like what we're doing, support us on Patreon. $1 a month, exclusive contents. Johnny and I do skits. YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube or listening it on Apple Podcast or Spotify, please go
our
to
sports,
that. And
our sports podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting to it. And go check out our Facebook page. And also, if you like listening to Johnny and I more than I like listening to me, which is probably a lot more, go check out, and it's sports history. Go check out the Retroactive Sports Podcast.
Yeah, we just recorded a very awesome one that I can't wait for it to come out, where we talk about the New York Islanders and when someone bought them who wasn't who they claimed to be. Very fun podcast.
Well, with that being said, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
I get you, He-Man.